What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my Week 5 takeaways video where we dive on in to my 5 biggest things that I took away from this past week of college football action. And it is almost October, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what October brings to college football? It brings upsets, it brings chaos, and it brings mayhem. Well, we got a little taste of that this past week in the final weekend of September. Man, was there a lot of crazy results, a lot of crazy games, a lot of really good games, some crazy finishes, and the chaos that October brings was brought to us early this week 5. I'm going to dive on into everything you need to know about the past week, as well as things that I took away from this past weekend in college football. But before we do that, you guys know I have to say thank you for all the love and support, and we'll go through my spiel here pretty quickly. Thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this video, and if you'd like to help support this channel and you're as big of a college football nerd as I am, you got to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell, but you can also like, you can comment, and you can share, and anything else you do to interact with the channel helps support what I do here on YouTube. But if you want to support me outside of YouTube and support my journey to be a sports media professional and see some of the other work that I do outside of YouTube, go give me a follow on Twitter, guys, at Tailgate829. I'll post everything from articles I write to games I call and any other work that I do here as a sports media student. And again, just as a content creator in general, I'd really appreciate the support in any way that you can provide it. But let's move on and talk about my takeaways. Now, I know I said that usually I have 5 takeaways in these videos. There were some things this week that you could look at and say, well, I really took it away in previous weeks, and it was a takeaway in previous weeks, or it was something I already learned or something I already believed. Again, you could probably have learned a lot more this week than I did. There are a couple things that just got not necessarily rehashed, but I'm trying to think of the terminology for it. Just sort of reinforced that are in my own little crazy brain, that things going on up here that I thought that just sort of got reinforced this week. So I do want to start. So I only have 4 takeaways for you guys, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But I do also want to start off, and I'm not going to linger on this one too long. At least I'm going to try not to. But I feel like I should do my part in saying, hey, my thoughts go out to everyone affected by Hurricane Helene. I do want to say it's how you pronounce the storm system, and if I'm mispronouncing it, I apologize sincerely. This is a very dangerous storm. It's a very catastrophic storm. Millions are without power. I think there have been some upwards of 20, maybe even 30 people have tragically lost their lives because of this storm system. It is moving its way across the eastern part of the United States as we speak. In fact, it might be pretty close to being done, but the impact is nowhere near being done and just done being felt. And I apologize for sort of my stuttering and just not making this as clean as I probably could have. But I do just want to say, like, look, this is a very dangerous situation. Hurricanes are no joke, and it is affecting millions and millions of people across this nation. So my thoughts and condolences and everything goes out to everyone and anyone that's been affected by this storm, either directly or if you've had family and friends that have been sort of impacted by this storm. And guys, the reports are out there that there are probably at least 1, maybe other 2 more storm systems that are going to be making its way towards the Florida coast and ripping its way through the eastern part of the United States. So to anyone out there that may be watching my videos from that part of the country, and anyone who has friends and family that are out there in that part of the country, check on them, make sure that they are okay. And again, my thoughts and condolences go out to all of you out there. Please stay safe, and please make sure your family and friends are staying safe out there as well. And I apologize that was nowhere near as clean as I could make it. And as something I always like to say, there's no easy way to segue from things like this. I just felt like I should say something about it because, again, even from a sports impact, it has affected Major League Baseball. It canceled Liberty and Appalachian State this week, what was supposed to end up being a pretty entertaining football game that's not going to end up rescheduling again. This goes so far beyond the sports realm, though, and you don't even worry about that sort of thing when you are talking about a storm that is this catastrophic, this devastating. And again, my thoughts and condolences go out to everyone affected by Hurricane Helene. And again, I apologize if I am pronouncing that name wrong. But Again, no easy way to segue from it, but let's dive back on in to the college football landscape of things and start talking about some football here. I always like to give sort of one general takeaway, and again, I only have four of them for you this week. But my number four takeaway is, guys, no top 25 team is safe from the chaos of the sport. I mean, you take a look at what happened with some top 10 teams here, right? You take a look at what happened with Ole Miss, an offense that was electric, that was absolutely outstanding through their first four games, just sort of puttered and spattered and didn't really get a whole lot going. And I mean, who else was able to beat them? The Kentucky Wildcats, the team that everyone just sort of looked at after their close game against Georgia and said, yeah, that's Kentucky, Georgia, or yeah, Georgia usually struggles, or their concerns were about Georgia, like, oh man, is this Georgia team really that good? Guys, let's start talking about Kentucky. How good are they, huh? They went toe to toe with what you could argue, even after that loss to Alabama, which we're going to talk a lot about in just a little bit. Georgia still might end up being the number one team in the country once this season is said and done. They still have that talent. They are still that talented. They can go win the entire thing. Kentucky went toe to toe with them, and then they just ended up beating the Ole Miss Rebels, and I believe that was a road game for Kentucky there as well. Yes, it was. So it's time to start talking about Kentucky a little bit here, guys. But you also look at that chaos there between Miami and Virginia Tech. Oh my goodness. I mean, that was absolutely sensational. That was a sensational football game from start to finish, a sensational end. Miami ended up coming away on the other side, or coming away with the benefit of that call, in which, if you want my personal opinion on it, I think they got the call right. I don't think the Virginia Tech wide receiver, who I'm blanking of in who I'm blanking of here off top of my head, and I know picture right there, I just still can't think, but this is that was an ending to a college football game that was pure chaos, purely chaotic. It was awesome. It was unbelievable. And again, if you want my opinion, I think they got the call right. I don't think that he had firm control of the football. I don't think he survived the ground, and therefore I think it's an incomplete pass. Let me know what you guys think about that call in the comment section down below. But I mean, there were even some other games that were really, really close here. USC got outplayed by Wisconsin in the first half. They were able to pull away. Oklahoma was able to outlast Auburn after it looked like Auburn really had that one in the bag. Arkansas and Texas A&M was an absolutely phenomenal, fantastic game. You go ahead and take a look there at another one we're going to talk about a little bit later in Arizona, going on the road and beating Utah. Michigan almost blew that one against Minnesota, and honestly, Minnesota probably should have had their chance to win the game, as the whole offsides penalty thing happened on the onside kick, which I don't think was offsides. Again, if you want my personal opinion on that, but again, all the controversy and everything aside, the chaos reigned supreme this week. You gave us a little taste of what October is going to bring. And I mean, man, if October is going to bring more of that to the college football season, sign me up. I absolutely cannot wait. Now let's dive on forward into my top three takeaways after a water break. You'll see the first one on screen now. Again, guys, water is important. I'm actually going to take another drink. Yeah, water is important. Make sure you stay hydrated. Guys, is it time to start talking about Army and Navy as group of five contenders? I absolutely think so. 4-0, both of them are, for the first time since 1945. And you, yes, you, dear viewer, are not ready for the Army-Navy game to have college football playoff implications. Now, I know that that's not necessarily what I'm saying. I'm not sort of saying like, oh, that game's going to end up having college football playoff implications on it. But I mean, you look at the rest of these two teams' schedules. Let's start out with Navy. I mean, you got to go on the road and play Air Force this week. I know the Falcons haven't looked too good, but that is a Commanders Cup trophy game, and Air Force and Troy Calhoun usually get up for those kinds of games. I mean, even Army and Navy both still have Notre Dame left on that schedule, but I mean, Navy's got to go on the road and play South Florida. They also get Tulane at home. Obviously, Army and Navy have to play at the end of the season, and then you even go ahead and take a look at what Army has this week coming up. They have Tulsa. They get Air Force at home. They have to go on the road and play Notre Dame. UTSA is still on their schedule. Army probably has an easier path than Navy if they want to be that G5 team to come out on top. but I also do believe that you kind of have to have some other things go your way for you to be that G5 team to come out of the fray and get into the college football playoff, right? I think Boise State and UNLV, probably the top two contenders right now out of the Mountain West Conference, are going to sort of have to fall off. And obviously, first and foremost for these two teams, you have to go win the American Athletic Conference. But guys, looking at the two roads here that are left for these teams, looking at the way that they have played these games so far this season, I think it is entirely possible that both Army and Navy could be playing in the American Athletic Championship game and then be playing a week later in the Army Navy game. And then, who knows, maybe one of them goes and makes the college football playoff. I think it is absolutely entirely possible. Now, am I sitting here saying that it's likely? No, I do not think it's likely. I still think Boise State, UNLV, and possibly maybe even some of the other teams in the American Athletic Conference have a little bit of a better shot to get in to the college football playoff than Army or Navy. But the way these two teams are playing right now, the way they have looked so far this season, it wouldn't surprise me to see at least one of the two in a conference championship game setting before they have to go play one another there on December 14th. I just think this is going to be an absolutely incredible ride here. And I mean, I'm an Army guy myself. I know people like to choose Army, Navy. If I had to pick, I'd be an Army guy. My grandfather served in the Army, so that's my team. I'm rooting for the Black Knights there on that one. I'll make that full open and known. But this is going to be a very interesting sort of story to follow as these two teams continue on and play some good football down the stretch and have a lot of winnable games coming up there on the schedule. All right, let's dive back on into the Power 4 realm of things. And last week, a big takeaway that I had was that the Big 12 was going to run through Utah. Well, BYU held up its end of the bargain. Utah did not, and Cam Rising still isn't back, and I think Utah's a lot better team with Cam Rising at the helm, and that's no offense to Zach Wilson. That's just how good of a player I think Cam Rising is, but Kansas State was able to pick up a big win this week. Colorado goes on the road and beats UCF. You take a look at some other chaos that happened within the Big 12 Conference. I mean, that Cincinnati-Texas Tech game, ooh, that was a very, very, very close game, and I mean, that missed field goal wins Texas Tech that game as Cincinnati just couldn't put that one home to send it to overtime, and TCU had a comeback effort to beat Kansas. I mean, guys, the Big 12 will still be chaotic and wild to the very end. So this maybe is a takeaway that a lot of you already had or even already knew coming into the college football season. But this is more so me of just sort of correcting what I said in the last video, right? In the last video, I said, well, I think the Big 12 is going to run through the state of Utah. I think Utah and BYU had proven themselves to be the best two teams in the Big 12 through that point. But now, I mean, look, Kansas State has thrown their hat back in the ring. BYU got ahead early, struggled down the stretch against the Baylor team that is okay. Colorado is 2-0 in the conference right now. Iowa State is still there. Texas Tech, maybe even Cincinnati are going to be feisty. And then the Arizona Wildcats, of course, being able to pull off that upset on the road against the Utah Utes. They were really in control for most, if not the entirety of that game. And a lot of people forgot about Arizona, guys. After that loss to the Kansas State Wildcats, I think people sort of pushed Arizona onto the back burner. Don't do that. They just went on the road and proved they can contend with anyone within the Big 12 Conference. And I mean, welcome to the conference, Arizona State, Colorado, and welcome back, I should say, to Colorado, and then Arizona and Utah. I mean, welcome to the chaos that is the Big 12 Conference. You just saw a little bit of it between two of the newcomers, Arizona going on the road and beating Utah. Again, a lot of people think Utah is the best team within this conference, and they very well may still be, even with this loss to the Arizona Wildcats. But guys, the Big 12 still going to be absolutely chaotic. It is going to be wonderful, blissful chaos down the stretch this college football season. And again, you want me to pick a Big 12 championship game right now? I mean, put all the names in a hat and pull out two. I mean, that's about as good of odds as you're going to have predicting who's going to make the Big 12 championship right now. A lot of football still to be played, but the Big 12 looks to still be as wild and chaotic as always. And Bama and Georgia, oh, this game just every time they play continues to be must-see TV. And how about a couple of the freshmen, huh? Stepping up big time and making some big-time plays for this Alabama team here. Of course, you have to talk about the wide receiver in Ryan Williams. Guys, he's a 17-year-old. Him and Jeremiah Smith, two of the best true freshman wide receivers college football has probably ever seen. They are very, very talented. Of course, we're sitting here talking about Ryan Williams. He is absolutely sensational. And then you want to talk about the guy that sealed the game here for Alabama. Carson Beck taking a shot to the end zone, and Zabian Brown, another freshman. And hey, how much of a coincidence is it that both of them end up wearing the number 2, right? Coincidence? I think not. This is an Alabama team, guys, that prove themselves to be really, really, really good. And the big takeaway is, well, the SEC still runs through Tuscaloosa. Now, they still got a lot of tough games left on this schedule. They still got to play the Missouri Tigers. You still got to go up against LSU on the road, Tennessee on the road. These are going to be really tough games for Bama to win, but you look at how Bama started off that game, guys. Oh my goodness, they were blitzing Georgia. They not technically blitzing on the defensive side of things, right? But just haymakers and big strikes, and they got up to this huge lead at the beginning. But Georgia shows why they're still one of the best teams in college football. They make that one competitive. They make it close. And Carson Beck, I mean, guys, he just did not have his best game. He didn't have it at all. This is the Georgia rushing attack that couldn't get anything going in a Georgia defense that couldn't slow down the big play from Alabama for the life of them. They couldn't contain Jalen Milroe for the life of them. Bama proved and showed that why, hey, are you still doubting us even after Nick Saban is gone? We got Kalen DeBoer in this building, and I'll steal a quote from Pat McAfee here. DeBear, DeGoat, and now Kalen DeBoer. This is an Alabama team that just, I think, shut up a lot of their doubters, in which people may think nobody was doubting. Oh, yeah, people were. Yep, I saw it. Saw it everywhere. And maybe people now are more so doubting Georgia than Bama. Again, don't make that same mistake. You can't doubt Georgia. I mean, that comeback effort, they even took the lead late in this game. It shows you why Georgia is still the real deal, right? It shows you why Georgia is still a team to watch out for, and you cannot count them out no matter what. This is, however, a team and a conference that still, despite no Nick Saban, despite a lot of doubt coming into this season, Alabama is one of, if not the best team in the country as it stands right now, and they are true contenders to go win a national championship. And the SEC, well, you're still going to have to go run through the Alabama Crimson Tide. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll leave that one here. If you liked it, please tell me so. Please tell me some other takeaways you took away from this week. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder, and I'll see all of you guys later on today when I upload my top 25. Goodbye.